Welcome back to Team O'Neill. I'm Wyatt. What we're going to take a look at today are driving shoes, all the way from, the hiking boots if you've been following this channel that I'm wearing most of the time, to different sneakers if you might be just doing some performance driving, looking for some good control in the car, up through, full on racing shoes. The shoes that you're wearing make a huge difference to how comfortable you are in different vehicles and how well you're able to operate those pedals doing kind of complex and coordinated maneuvers. So let's take a close look at driving shoes so you can pick the ones that are right for you. All right, so if you've seen this channel before, maybe you've watched a few videos on, high-speed driving maneuvers and left foot braking, you probably see myself and some of the other guys wearing, full-on hiking boots. And these are, basically backpacking mountaineering boots, just because it's a lot easier to drive with these on than it is to, exist in New Hampshire at a rally driving school with these on. They'd be destroyed in a few weeks. I've ruined a few pairs of these just out here, even in the summertime, just because of the gravel and the mud and the snow and the rain and all that kind of stuff. These are, slightly more durable than the slippers you wear around the house, and equally waterproof. So, if you, for some reason, need to wear hardcore outdoor footwear, learn how to drive with that and don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. You can absolutely left foot brake just fine with something like this and get through most of what you need to do, including, push a car out of the ditch or just walk around from place to place or whatever it might be. So if you've got to do it, go ahead and do it, but just know you are, of course, giving up a lot of pedal sensitivity. Can you really feel, exactly the brake pedal and exactly the throttle pedal? Not that well, especially if you have these really laced up, your ankles aren't moving as much, and you just don't have kind of all of that sensory information coming through the sole of the shoe from the pedals like you would with something else. So if you really wanted to go out and do some driving and feel what the pedals are doing and get good and practice and drive quickly, there are, of course, more reasonable solutions than that. Typically, what I go for and what a lot of people go for is just a relatively thin-soled shoe of some kind. You can tell this is massively more flexible than this one. Literally doesn't bend. So that's going to give you a lot of feel. It's a very thin sole, you can see, so your toes and everything else and the ball of your foot is going to get a whole lot of more sensory information from the pedals. Exact pedal pressure, exactly where your foot is on that pedal, things like that are going to be much better. So of course, if you were going to do some performance driving, you go out on the track or just go out and rip around in some canyons or whatever you might be doing out there, definitely something that's a little bit lighter and gummier is going to work out for you. Does this need to be a driving shoe? Absolutely not. These are skate shoes. There are indoor soccer shoes that are great. Approach shoes are really good. What you're looking for is, again, a pretty gummy sole. These natural kind of gum colored soles are great, but it doesn't really matter. They could be Vans or anything else that's going to allow you to feel that pedal through a nice soft sole. And again, they're not too wide. Particularly in a sports car or of course in a race car, the pedals are quite different than what you'd find in a normal passenger truck or SUV or a bigger car that's built for comfort and that kind of thing. You need pretty narrow shoes so that you can make sure you're getting to the right pedal. Obviously with a manual transmission car and with a race car, those pedals, especially like a floor mounted pedal set or something like that, they're close together and you don't want to risk hitting the wrong pedal, hitting two pedals at once, or something like that, which would be probably more likely with this. This is halfway to driving with a ski boot on, where this is halfway to driving barefoot. So there are tons of great shoes available out there you can find in your travels. As long as they fit you nicely and they're comfortable and they have thin soles, you'll be pretty good to go. Moving down the line all the way to these are, my Alpine Stars racing shoes. The biggest reason, again, that anyone would ever need racing shoes is because they are FIA and or SFI approved, meaning they're fireproof. That's the biggest differentiator between this and this, is that if you get in a flaming car crash, you're gonna wanna have this on. And because they're fire retardant, most racing, their insurance requires you to wear shoes like this. There are, of course, different tiers and kind of levels of racing shoes depending on that fire retardant property. If you are drag racing some nitro thing, you're gonna need, they look like welding boots or something. They're really thick, they're very fire retardant. But for the most part, auto racing shoes, these are legal for, FIA, rallying, anything like that. They're very lightweight, they're very breathable. Still, they're just using a lot of the high-tech, same Nomex fibers and the aramid stuff, high-tech, lightweight, fireproof stuff that you'll see in driving gloves and driving suits and everything else, kind of lined with that, and then in a pretty decent lightweight leather outsole. The soles on these, again, are very thin. You get excellent pedal feel. That's why if you're even walking around on a rocky road with these, you can feel all the stones and the pebbles. They're really pretty narrow. You can cinch them up pretty tight so that they're kind of fitted right around your foot, almost like a wrestling shoe or a ballet shoe or something like that. It's gonna really hug your foot very closely. Typically, you'll find they're kind of high tops, but they don't really cinch that tight. You're still using your ankle really well. The one nice thing you find about a lot of these shoes is this nice rounded bottom here, so that kind of as you're driving and you're rolling your heel on the floor an awful lot, it's really comfortable. You can also see that as you roll your foot forward, it sort of also pushes your whole foot forward because of this on the bottom, versus just this kind of sharper pivot point at the bottom of this. Just makes for smoother transition sometimes. That's a personal preference, how much you like this. Not everybody's in love with that. Some people do like having that sharper edge. And that really depends, again, if you've got floor-mounted pedals or hanging pedals in your car, whatever it might be, and whatever's really comfortable for you. When you're shopping for racing shoes, if you have the opportunity to try them on, of course, do that, just like with any shoe, especially one that's gonna fit as snugly as this. There's, of course, not a lot of places where you can try them on, so just order them from somewhere that has a good return policy, because moving around, half sizes and that kind of thing will make a difference. You want these to fit, not uncomfortably tight to where they're hurting your feet, but almost like, a rock climbing shoe or something like that. It's gonna be really snug to your foot. So take the time, return one or two or three, do whatever you need to do till you find one that really fits your foot well. And then the only other thing to be aware of when you're shopping for racing shoes like this is a lot of the price difference that you find is gonna be just the weight. The top of the range shoes that you're gonna find out there from all of the companies are just gonna be more kind of exotic materials and the way that they do the stitching, and it's just gonna be maximized for weight savings, where the lower end models might be, ounces heavier. For most people, that's not gonna make a huge difference. Of course, if you're, karting or formula racing or something where every gram and ounce kind of matters to you, that might come into play a little bit more. But certainly, the difference between these two shoes is honestly fairly minimal. Is this one lighter? Yeah, it's a little bit lighter, but is that going to affect your stage times, or, are you going to lose a race because of that? Probably not. So that's kind of all I got for you on driving shoes. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments and we will get to those just as quickly as we can. If you're interested in more of kind of the gear necessary for driving or the skills necessary to get into some racing, please check out our channel and consider subscribing. We've got a ton of content up already and we're putting more out just as quick as we can. If you'd like to get behind the wheel, do some high-speed driving, do some rallying, some car control, some drifting, whatever it might be, check out teamoneil.com. We're running courses all year round up here at our campus in New Hampshire. Until then, have fun, be safe, and we'll catch you next time.